one of the real privileges that I've had here over the last couple of weeks is to speak to the surviving veterans. And there was a 100-year-old man who was in the Navy at the time by the name of John King, who I spoke to a couple of weeks ago. And I asked him, when he looked around Britain today, did he think it was worth fighting for? And he said no. And he made reference to crime, rapid demographic and cultural changes, etc. Do you think we've let our greatest generation down?
No, I think that this is a great, great country and a beautiful country. And no, I don't agree with that, honestly. And you wouldn't expect me to. I'm sad that he feels like that. I think we have things we need to sort out. I think crime is one that obviously I care about a huge amount, and it makes me furious because I think it is so fixable. And I think, unfortunately, I mean, we're not meant to be party political on a day like this, but you know, I do think that the current government has the wrong approach on law and order. I think when I look at street crime, I look at knife crime, the so-called minor crimes, you know, unless you come down hard on this, shoplifting. You know, we've got an epidemic of shoplifting in Britain at the moment. You need to get back to the basics, which is zero tolerance for minor crimes. That's the thing that works. You stop you come down hard on the small stuff, and you magically, a lot of the big stuff will also disappear. We found that in London when I was running the city. And I think that the whole approach to the criminal justice system is not tough enough either. And you know, look at some of these things like this business with the grooming gangs and all this nonsense, you know. You come down much harder.
Yeah, how does that make you feel when you see that dominating the headlines? And Labour seem to be saying, oh, it's political point scoring.
I think it's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, it looks like, look, I can't comment about it in detail because I did, but it looks like a pretty systematic habit of exploitation of young girls, and no matter who is doing it, it needs to be stamped out. And I don't know quite why we don't have a proper national inquiry into it.
You'd want one, would you?
Well, I don't.
If you were still Prime Minister, you'd have one.
Inquiries, you know, in my view, can often be a huge waste of taxpayers' time and money. But in this particular case, I think I want to understand how this thing has been going on in this way. And
well,
I saw, apparently it still is. I saw a program the other night which suggested it still is. So, you know, that's about attitude. And the same point can be made about knife crime, about stop and search. Come down hard on these guys. It's what the families want. If you're the mother of a kid who's going out equipped with a bladed weapon, you want the police to be able to stop and search your son, almost invariably your son, and take that weapon off him, right? And we should be backing the police to do that. They have the powers to do it, but they need the support. And knife crime's way, way too high. Get it down again. Britain should have a reputation as one of the safest, most lovely places in the world to live in. It does, by the way, for the most part around the world. But we've got some problems in London.
We do have some problems.
And other cities.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Yeah, indeed. And look, I suppose whilst we're talking about this stuff, it just brings me on to the idea that here we are talking about how we fended off an invasion of Britain, VE Day today, the 80th anniversary of it. Churchill would have been sitting right up there, and today, probably, we have boatloads of young men coming across the English Channel.
And it drives me nuts. And it drives the British people nuts. And, you know, in my moments of real anger and impatience about this, I think, why don't we kind of do something really crackers like Trump and put a 500% tariff on all French cheese and wine until they stop the boats coming from Calais? It wouldn't work, and it probably is. And I think actually the French are making an effort. I think they could do more. What you need is an instant method of sending them back, or not just sending them back, but not even sending them, sending them for processing somewhere else. And whatever people say about it, and people make fun of it, and everybody satirizes, but the Rwanda plan was for the boat people, for the people coming across illegally by boat, was a very good plan. And it was, if we coupled that with getting out of the European Convention on Human Rights, so we speed up these, we avoid this constant legal processes, and we had a really serious offshore processing system in Rwanda, I think you'd start fixing it. The interesting thing is that we just had to mention the Rwanda plan, if you remember, back in 22, and to say that it was coming, and lo and behold, where are the boats coming from? Over there. They started down there. They started to slow down.
Yeah.
And I think that is, it is a viable plan, and I think the British people are absolutely fed up to the back teeth of this stuff. And what it does, of course, the arrival of all these illegals undermines people's trust in the whole system.
It's also the cost. I mean, 15 billion quid over the next 3 years or so, I think it is, anyway. When we're cutting winter fuel payments for pensioners, tax burdens going up and up, it does seem like the social contract's a bit broken there, I think, doesn't it?
I think you're right. And I think it's one of the things that people, they don't understand. They don't understand why politicians can't fix it. I reckon if we'd been left to get on with it and deliver the Rwanda plan, it would have fixed it.
You think if you were still in power, we wouldn't have a trial crisis?
I think we could fix I definitely think we could fix the boats coming across.
You'd be in this bunker now.
There is such a place actually,
right.
which I went to. I think near Folkestone, where they can more or less see who's coming over in real time, but because of the law, because of of human rights, everything, all they can do, all our poor coast guards can do, and they're very humane people, they can just help them to avoid being drowned, which is what they do. And then they bring them here. And as soon as they're here, of course, as you say, they're in the they're in the maw of the system. They're surrounded by lawyers who do everything they can to keep them here, and they made it. It's ridiculous because France is now not occupied by a Nazi tyranny, right? France is a free country, thanks to us and Winston Churchill. They're not fleeing tyranny in France. They're not fleeing oppression. They're fleeing one of the richest countries on earth to come to us, an even more successful country. And it's ridiculous They have no reason to come here like that. And you know, we should get back to the Rwanda scheme.
All right.
Seriously.
Well-
and what the interesting thing about the Labour, because they said it was terrible against human rights. Look at what they're doing. If you listen to what Labour is actually now saying, which I don't do very often, but I hear Starmer saying himself that he would like to see an offshore processing system. Am I right?
Well, they chose their tune on a huge amount of stuff, haven't they? I mean, Keir Starmer, arguably a man who spent most of his career going into bat for people who maybe had.
Well, but he's part of the whole network, right? So Starmer, well, I can't remember which chambers he was at, whether it was Doughty Street chambers or whichever one, but he's part of this great network of human rights lawyers that is basically devoted to the idea that they should try to defeat UK immigration law, defeat public will and common sense, and try and bring in as many people as possible. And to make sure that if people come here illegally, then their human rights trump the fact that they've broken the law. And that is the problem.